Great, well, welcome to the January 10th meeting of the Parks and Rec Board. Start with the Pledge of Allegiance, and then we can jump into our agenda. It is. All right, Pledge allegiance to the flag, of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So as I mentioned, we have a brief agenda tonight, but still important things to review. There are no members of the public, but we do have the borough manager, the new borough manager, Matt West, and Jeff Eldon, Director of Public Works in attendance. Thanks for joining us. And as always, Gene Brown, the Borough Council Liaison. So tonight, we're going to review and approve the minutes. We're going to review and approve basketball court lights policy recommendation for council and seasonal bathroom hours. Then finish up our March 13th park user meeting prep and get a brief study committee update from Rebecca and Jean, and new business and adjournment. So did everyone get a chance to review the minutes that I sent out yesterday? And if there are no changes, then do I have a motion to approve?
I reviewed them and I would move to approve the minutes.
I'd second.
Right, all in favor? Aye. Great, minutes are approved. So the basketball court light policy is something we covered in great detail last month. So the action item was for me to put together a simple policy that we would recommend for Borough Council to include the time of the year and the hours. So what we agreed on, or what we came to consensus during last meeting, was May, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it was May 1st to October 31st. Based on daylight was the months that we thought it would be appropriate to keep the lights on later. And we all agreed that 10 or 11 was a little too late. So is 9:30, I believe we came to a middle ground at 9:30 would be okay during the longer daylight hours. Or did anyone, does that sound about right?
Yeah.
Okay, Jeff. And then once it gets cold, November 1st through April 30th, 8 p.m. Because utilization, even though it's there, we extended them based on that public interest, that surge of public interest in the ball. There hasn't been high utilization since then. And it was like a steep drop off.
It was not planned by us. Well, no, it's it's solely just based on the temperatures.
Yeah.
It gets this cold, so we're still in favor, of turning them on, because it does help make the sidewalk, people are pretty big walks, but we think 8 and support of 8.
Okay.
Ball,
And really, we had come to this consensus last month, but I just put it into words, which is Borough of Narberth reserves the right to change the schedule and or turn the lights off as needed. The Borough Council can add any verbiage they want, but rather than getting into semantics of if there's a problem or this and that, that's just simple.
Right.
how do you envision that process? Do you want, should I be relaying info to Matt and admin staff who can?
Well, first it accomplishes the simple task of having a policy, which there isn't. So if somebody says, what's the light policy? We have one, but giving you and your team the ability, if there's a an issue, whether it's caused by users of the courts or not, scheduled maintenance, et cetera, just so people aren't surprised. It's not like we're gonna be posting this policy on the court anyway, but obviously it'll be somewhere on the borough's website. But just, you reserve the right to change the schedule as needed. So,
I would think that your question was, how do you do that? I mean, you wouldn't come here. I mean, if there's a problem, an issue, I think you go to Matt and then address it, because you don't want that,
it's not something that you should have to reach out to borough council for, it's professional staff.
I'm sorry, I thought it was procedurally, how do we get it from this committee to,
No, just, if within that, court light policy, what do we just instantly have the right to turn off court lights? How do I need to get that out? That, the court lights will be off for X amount of time because, we've had, 5 incidents out there. Obviously, we won't be turning the court lights off, if we have one small act of something. But just,
That was the issue we talked about the last time, is how many incidents have happened and at what point then you take action.
so, I guess after like 3 or 5, incidents of vandalism out there or something along those lines, where obviously I track things and document things, where I give that information to you and then, just say, hey, like where we, down or scale back the times of,
coming into this midstream, so excuse my ignorance, that's my favorite saying as a point. So that it would be, I'm looking at the ordinance. So this group will make a recommendation to council to pass a resolution that states that this group has, council has the ability to establish rules and regulations by resolution. That's a good thing. That's less time, that it doesn't have to be by ordinance. That's a good thing. So resolutions can be done quickly. So a recommendation from this group to define what those parameters are, submit that to me. We'll put that in resolution form. It'll go in front of Borough Council. Once that resolution is passed, it becomes official. Within that, then, to your point, to try to make it simple, what's the criteria? What do you mean by changing it? If we're saying, if I'm hearing it correctly, you're going to turn it on, we're proposing to turn off the lights at 8 p.m. during the winter months. So what you're saying is what if something happens between sunset and 8, that you believe after a time that we should turn them off earlier? Is that what you're saying? Okay.
Yeah, there's not so much of an issue out this time of year, because the courts just aren't used as much, but during the spring and summer months, we deal with a lot of just vandalism, that, this year as well. Which is kind of what that's a conversation, not just a light competence in general. So then, if they're on until 9:30 in the summer and we're having, incidents, we'll scale it back to 8, and I don't want to penalize the whole. But, as long as, we have control to, turn off the lights with no kickback or up or whatever. My vision for it is, I'll document every act, that happens out there and, put a price tag to it. And if it reaches, certain amount that we feel, that the lights need to be turned back, and, we'll post that. I will post every picture and put some price, so we can see what's happening.
What was the language that you had added there, Dennis?
The Borough of Narberth reserves the right to change the schedule and or turn the lights off as needed. That's just our recommendation. They can tweak it however they want, but
if they pass a resolution, so you're gonna put it in resolution form, give it to Borough Council, and then if they approve it, it becomes
The policy,
the policy, it's not an ordinance.
right, but it's still the policy.
So, and the policy, and if the policy includes at our discretion or the borough's discretion, they can make some changes, you know. I don't have a problem with that. I mean, you know, so how do you implement it? If you don't want to wait 30 days, you have 60 days, go through all the committee and all that stuff. Sometimes you're better off making, it seems to me, making those decisions where you get reported, hey, there's a problem. Okay, they get turned off. Okay, maybe there is some blowback, maybe there's some complaints, but there's a reason given and an explanation, and it can be revisited or visited at the next borough council or the next park meeting or whatever it is to see, well, maybe we need to clarify the process, or maybe we need to be a little bit more stringent. But to me, I think the important thing is if you have trust in borough manager, you have trust in the, you know, Jeff and the staff, and they're monitoring things. It seems to me you need to have some discretion to be able to make some decisions. In my mind, if I'm not on borough council, but if I was in borough council, I think you'd want to have some leeway.
My opinion is that the main problem with turning off the lights was not that it happened, but because there was not a lot of communication about it. And so a lot of the community were angry that the lights were turned off just because they weren't sure of the reasons why. And I think the documentation will go a long way to kind of give the rationale for why the lights will be turned off for a period of time. I think communication, whatever form that takes, I think that's something that staff will need to kind of figure out. I think it would be helpful to say publicly if there are issues in the park to put that out there and let people know that there are some issues in the park. And for the next, what period of time that the light won't be turned off at this time. So I think that's helpful.
Could we add something there that says, and if the borough exercises their discretion, they will post notice on the borough website?
Well, I think they're, you know, them absorbing the conversation and the problem. I think it's important for this board to be involved in the communication of it, as is council. I appreciate the willingness to give the authority to staff to make these decisions. I agree, because we need to be nimble enough to respond to something. If Jeff, in coordination with the chief of police, say, hey, you know what, we've got vandalism happening too frequently, we need to do something. I appreciate having that flexibility, but when we make that decision, when staff makes that determination, this board needs to be notified and council needs to be notified before it goes public. That's the role of this, because if you think from a consumer standpoint, from a resident standpoint, who are you going to go to when something is wrong with your park? Council or this board? You all need to know what's happening. You need to know what's going on, the decision behind it, so you can speak intelligently about it and you're not caught looking uninformed. Then that following meeting, it'll be addressed at that meeting, right? So I think that's a good process and procedure. We have the ability to respond, to react at the staff level. Before we pull the trigger on that, we will notify this board and council of our intentions of what to do and the reasons why. Notify you all and then make it public, and then it goes on the next agenda of this group.
What was the original ask? We're responding to something that borough wanted, right?
Just, to have a policy
Right.
to fall back on, because before there wasn't a policy and Jeff and the chief of police utilized the discretion as they should have, the to the vandalism, let's adjust the hours. Then when people when we people push back and it was, we realized there is no policy, so let's have a policy. To fall back on. That's it.
So the policy are the hours and then what we just talked about.
Yeah, just some basic language that they could put on the borough website, so if people wonder why the basketball court lights are off, they can read it, that this is the schedule, but then,
Can I clarify that? It does sound like we're just going back to how it was before. So
yeah,
I'm wondering why we need a resolution. And it's just more about the process.
it's just a written policy that's.
That's what I think, when people came, it was like, oh, we don't know what happened. Is there a chain of command, like, we didn't know anything.
Yeah,
Or some people happen to know, but just kind of like,
Yeah, there was
Through
a
other
little bit of a
conversations.
problem in trying to find out who did what and why.
yeah, there was the whole thing about, do we need to find out who's responsible and.
Right, and that's why you started keeping a log and
I
then,
just wanted to know what
Yeah,
was going on.
the lights had to go off once. And he got done over the league in the summer.
okay,
Things never went on, summer, yeah.
right,
So conceptually, I agree with you that, but I think in a realistic, practical application, I think that might be really difficult because this board only meets once a month. I think these things will come up and the staff really does have flexibility to be able to respond.
you're not looking for us to yay or nay, what he's saying is, if you get stopped on the street,
Yeah,
if a neighbor asks you,
Just so it's in public, right? So
yeah,
right,
so
yeah.
residents have an opportunity to know that.
Sorry, I misunderstood.
yeah, so you'll take care of what
Yes.
you decide you need to do. But you're gonna let us know and you're gonna let the council know, so that if we get stopped on the
Okay.
street and, or they look on the website and
Yes,
see
that
that
makes
you're somebody they can contact about this.
Right.
You're gonna at least know what's going on.
Right.
You would be thinking of sending emails to
Yes,
the
Yeah.
committee members and the council.
and then the opportunity to discuss it at this meeting
Okay.
Yeah,
of the
That- yeah.
actions that had taken place.
Right.
So everybody's informed.
right.
I think that's a good due process for you all, it's a good responsibility for this board, and it gives residents an opportunity to have a mechanism that they can come in and hear the reasons why.
We need to have that written down or a discretion issue. And I think
That's something that we would have to defer to council, right?
If you could, what I would like to see this board pass a motion with a recommendation, you have it written down,
Mhm.
say, I move to forward to Borough Council a recommendation for, the lights. Second it, vote it, then just email that to me. And I'll put it into resolution format, those details. And then we'll forward it to this board for final approval before it gets adopted or considered by council.
That March meeting.
So
recommendation.
can I get a,
I would make a motion to approve the language of the proposed, resolution.
which is basketball court light hours of May 1st to October 31st, 9:30 PM, November 1st to April 30th, 8 PM. The Borough of Norwich reserves the right to change the schedule as needed.
Anybody second that?
Second,
All
it's
in favor?
usually four of us.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, thank you. Now, next is the park bathroom hours policy, which, as we all agreed last month, it's just common sense in our discussion with Jeff that when the temperatures reaches freezing consistently, then close the bathrooms. Less likely to have issues with pipes freezing, not working. So all we have to, what we're charged with is just figure out how we want to say that in our recommendation to Borough Council, which is bathrooms will be closed when temperatures go below freezing.
Well,
any ideas on
You
other
wanna,
language?
I think that makes it a little too hard, for.
Yeah, what
Yeah,
happened, when it goes to book 40, at night you run out and just open those backwards again.
A lot of towns are, November 15th through April 15th.
Yeah, just
I
close.
I think the timeframe is probably,
That's
it's,
better.
it's temperature and darkness, you don't want,
It just needs to be a date.
Okay. So December 1st to.
What did you say, November?
Your typical,
November
council
15th.
park closure hours for bathrooms are November 15th through April 15th.
So do we want to go with that? November 15th, April 15th?
I've never used them, so it works for me.
I prefer to push it, into December,
I feel like April 15th is.
Yes, I kind of want to,
Thinking about,
Tell us what dates you think would work for, as the expert of this.
I would just say, I would show, the beginning of the year to, the end of March and, we'll open them in April.
So January or December 1st or January 1st?
December 1st to March 31st.
Yeah, there we go, December 1st to March 31st.
So do I have a motion to recommend
I
bathroom closure December 1st to March 31st?
approve it.
Second?
I'll say.
All right, all in favor?
That.
okay.
All right. Now, the park user meeting prep. Last month, we confirmed the groups that we're going to invite. It's the same as it was last year. The one thing I wanted to discuss is adding something about the master park plan study committee to that meeting. And to see if Jean and Rebecca would prepare some remarks while you have a captive audience of people that can start spreading the word and generating excitement over the master park plan and say that public engagement is forthcoming, that we want you, park users, as well as many interested citizens to be part of this process.
What date is this meeting?
This is the March 13th meeting.
Oh, okay.
So annually or historically, the Parks and Rec Board has always had a park user meeting in March. So we would love for Jean and Rebecca to share some remarks about the committee to generate some excitement. Is that something you'd be willing to do?
Sure.
Great. And
What time is that meeting?
it'll be the
You, at the
Seven.
same time.
same time, 8 o'clock, following
8
the
o'clock.
March meeting of Master Park Planning meeting, Master Park.
It's the usual Parks and Rec.
Yeah, so it's just the usual. I thought it might be earlier because of it being,
And then
all those people.
if there's no objection, don't believe we need to review number 6, since we just completed the meeting. We're going to have more updates in February to share. And since we don't have full attendance tonight. So I have any objections to that? No, okay, great. So is there any new business that any of the members wanted to introduce for us to address at the next meeting or even at this time?
I would recommend that the excellent note taker that we have tonight, to give that position on from.
I can't see what I produce at the end. You're more confident than I am.
Actually, can I bring up something?
Go ahead.
I just wanted to bring up the idea of, I know one of the concerns, that were brought up was just some of the graffiti problems, littering problems and things like that. And we were thinking, the Parks and Rec Board were thinking of ideas to curtail that, and some of it was through
Oh, yeah.
so I recently learned that Lower Marion Township does a dog walker community watch program. And basically, the police department partners with, or they actually train the neighborhood residents to, on how to do it. I don't think it's anything that complicated, but, just to give them some guidelines. And then, so it may be something that Zarba could partner with them, to figure out something. And I just wanted to put it on your radar as something to think about, and if you foresee any issues with that, whether you think it's a good idea.
Dog walker, community watch.
Yeah, so the concept is there's all these people going out to walk their dogs around the community anyway. And you're basically tasking them and training them to be the eyes and ears out in the neighborhood streets. And you could focus those patrols in certain problem areas, that the borough identifies. So it's just another way of kind of increasing that.
So who to call if all of a sudden you
Right.
see kids
Right.
hanging out where they're not.
So they're not
supposed to in the park?
intervening,
No, they're just calling the
they're reporting,
chief or
right,
whoever.
and they're contacting the correct people, when they see something.
You know, which I think is crucial, you know, 'cause the amount of times that we're out there painting or spray paint, things like that. You know how many people we hear passing by, say, yeah, I saw a bunch of kids there last night, I heard the door had been there. We didn't think
Right.
anything of it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you know, it's just getting that, pulling out, you know.
And I
through
did-
the content.
I did talk to, Chief String about the idea, and he was very amenable to it, so, yeah.
I like that too.
Well, there's like a gazillion people out walking dogs in this town.
Right.
I mean, I think that and requiring, no use of headphones while you're walking your dog, and they'll be able to see everything, hear everything that goes on. But no, I think that's a good idea to get anything that's, you're out and about, people.
And it's so true. I mean, people are out with their dog.
Right.
And
I
the,
think
the
you do
dogs
have
can
to be
get,
careful,
Yeah.
like, to walk the line of, somebody.
If you don't intervene, you just call someone else.
Right.
Yeah, that's,
And to kind of figure out what is something that should be reported,
Yeah.
yeah. Right, that's something that can be covered in the training part.
who does the training then? The chief of police? Or is there
It's the-
someone in Lower Marion who did it for their
It's the
dog
Lower
walking?
Marion Police Department, we're
Oh.
working with them.
Right, they certainly don't want you to intervene, they just want you to eyes and ears, I guess, is really.
But I think actually the person who was organizing was not from Lower Marion Police. He's the,
That's what I wondered if there was.
yeah, I think he's the one who does the mainline nights out or something like that.
okay.
So,
Well, thanks
yeah.
for the suggestion. That's,
That could be something that's exciting. Our committee could do something like that. Get that,
put it on next month's agenda.
yeah.
We'll do some homework about it, on it.
And it's something that I think you guys should, be in conversation with, the chief about.
Yes. Okay. And then if there's nothing else, do I have a motion to adjourn? Second that?
I second it.
All right, all in favor, aye? All
I.
right, so the meeting is adjourned at 8:30 p.m. Okay, so, recording.